In our last visit to Jerusalem, we came to the Western Wall. This is the largest section of the wall around Mount Moriah, built 2,000 years ago by Herod the Great, that is still standing today, and it's now a place of prayer for Jews. And just beyond the Western Wall, there's the summit of Mount Moriah, where the temple once stood, and where the Dome of the Rock stands today.
I can assure you this is Mount Moriah. That's where Herod Solomon's temple stood, and Israel Nehemiah's temple stood, and that's where Herod's temple stood. This is one of the few sites in the whole city. You can see this is it.
The Dome of the Rock now stands on Mount Moriah, where the temple stood in Jesus' day. The dome is a Muslim shrine. In the year 638, only 6 years after Muhammad died, the Muslim armies conquered Jerusalem, and the Dome of the Rock was built about 50 years later. There's a large rock inside the dome, and Muslims believe that the Prophet ascended to heaven from this rock, riding on his favorite horse. So this is the third holiest shrine in the Muslim world. Elias describes the Dome of the Rock.
So the mosque we're going to visit, under the name of the Mosque of Omar, dates back to the 7th century, and this mosque should be one of the 7 wonders. Really and truly, nothing like it. I've seen many mosques in my life, but nothing to compare to this mosque. And the highlight of it is the clay dome, which are about 800 years old, a gift from Saladin. The windows, they are the most beautiful glass windows in the whole world. There are 58, dates back to the 16th century. You know, I had a chance once in my life when Prince Philip came in 1966. He was the guest of King Hussein. I met him at the Jerusalem airport, and that's when he told me, no titles, call me Philip. So when we came here, he said, I want to take a picture of Moriah. I said, why not, sir? So we brought the key, and I went up with him with a cylindrical staircase, and I've seen it in my own eyes that the whole dome stuffed with goat's hair and wool to keep the thing nice and cool in summer, nice and warm in winter. So this Mosque of Omar, or the Dome of the Rock, dates back to the 7th century, and it is one of the most beautiful mosques in the world, and it is the third in the Muslims' world. You have Mecca first, Medina second, third here, Jerusalem. Fourth is the Mosque of Hebron, or the Mosque of Abraham in Hebron.
There's a large rock 58 feet across inside the dome. This rock may be Ornan's threshing floor, and it may be where Abraham's faith was tested. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is also located on the Temple Mount. This mosque was built in the early 8th century, so it's nearly as old as the Dome of the Rock and nearly as sacred to Muslims. At the end of Ramadan, 100,000 Muslims will gather here around this mosque for prayer. There's a tall minaret at the north end of the Temple Mountain. It stands where the Fortress Antonio stood, guarding the temple in Jesus' day. Herodian stones from the fortress are still to be seen in the lower levels of these buildings. And just beyond, archaeologists have found the main courtyard of the fortress paved with Roman stones. Jesus may have been standing on these very stones when Pilate pronounced the death sentence, "Let him be crucified."